Alright, so this is part two to the first video I made concerning this boycott, which is Asian, the Asian community. I'm actually working at this Asian church right now. Actually, in Korea. So I made a video earlier. I pretty much said that it kind of like communicate me like hit and miss, because I didn't really know what was going on, like as far as how they're gonna accept me concerning this boycott. So since I made that first video, I go back inside and got some more people coming into this church on Saturday. It's actually a school. And I'm walking down the corridor, and this husband and lady come in, and the husband says something in his language, and he's like making a gesture out the side of his eye, like look at who's here, like look at him, who's here. And his wife looks back and she laughs, and she says, yes. Then all of a sudden, I get a call from my boss that says, and he says to me, hey Joe, where are you? I said, I'm at the church. He says, the client says that they haven't seen you all day. I said, well, how can that be? Well, I've been walking around this place and making myself visible. I've been speaking to folks. I said I had a good conversation with the principal, and I find that hard. I said, so I took a picture of where I was inside, and I sent it to him. So he calls the client back, and I guess it's the pastor. And he tells the pastor, he says, well, he's inside. He says, well, I've been walking around and I haven't seen him. The church is a decent size, but it's not that big. It's not that big. So that right there lets me know that, yes, there's some BS in the game. Two, I don't care what space that you're in, these folks don't want to deal with us. They do not want to deal with us. So let me tell you how they don't want to deal with us. I'm sitting here. The male lady here is Asian. The male lady is Asian. So she's Korean. I've never seen a Korean or Asian male person. I've never seen one. I've never ever seen one. So where I'm at in this section of New Jersey, they're mostly Korean or of Asian descent of some sort, whatever. And a patrol car comes past, and he pulls into the lot. I'm in a patrol car. He pulls into the lot, and he pulls up on the side of my window. He's Asian. And we started talking. You know, how long you been on the police department, this and that, and where do you live? He lives down in Red Bank, I think it is, Red Bank, New Jersey. And he's been on the police department here for 10 years. And he's the only one that patrols this church parking lot here. He's the only one that comes here and patrols this area. So what he told me was that the area that I'm in is highly Asian. And, you know, we started talking about some other things. Started talking about the boycott and this and this and that. And at face value, he says he understands it. Then he also acknowledges that most of these folks here, most of these doctors, most of them are, you know, they hold businesses within the black community. And not out here in this area. Most of the businesses that they hold are in Plainfield, you know, Piscataway, Newark, Irvington. That's where most of these folks. So he says, yes, it has really had a vast effect on how a lot of these people actually view the black dollar. And he said, so don't be surprised if you get the side eye or you get a little bit of side treatment. He says, you just got to try to give everybody a chance. I said, well, I could give everybody a chance. What I'm not going to deal with is the BS. I'm not going to deal with that. So, yep, we continue to do the boycott at whatever cost. Leave these people to their own demise. Because even though the boycott is going on, you're never ever going to be accepted. And we're not looking to be accepted, actually. We really aren't. We're not looking, black folks aren't looking to be accepted. I think our community is waking up as to the value of who we are as a people and as to the power that we have as a people. Don't get me wrong, that olive branch is still always extended to hold dialogue and hold meaningful conversation on very sticky subjects. However, that's only going to go so far. It's only going to go so far. So, right now, from where I stand, this will be my last day coming out here. I'm retired now, and I don't care for whatever type of money that they're paying. Excuse me. I'm not going to degrade or devalue myself, devalue my time to come to a people and provide them a service. And these folks don't appreciate you. They don't appreciate what you do. They don't appreciate what you stand for. So we'll just leave them. The reason why they have security here in the first place is because of threats they have gotten. Not only threats have they gotten, not just from our community. There are there's folks out there who are going to get out here and say some things and threaten some folks and do some stuff. But it's not just our community. They've received threats from this particular officer from some of these residents in this area, and they're all white. These are all white residents out here. So they have security for whatever reason. So with that being said, let the chips fall where they may. Now, what was interesting a little while ago when I was inside was that they had this whole ceremony thing, Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Let me tell you something. I haven't said the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag since grammar school. I forgot what it even sounded like, to tell you the truth. Until I come into this sanctuary in here, and they have all their little kids lined up. They have the whole audience stand up, and they have a screen. The screen has to be at least, I can't even tell you how big this screen is, but just picture yourself on a major stage in New York, like Carnegie Hall or something like that. They have a screen that takes up the whole stage, and on that screen is a humongous United States flag. And that explains a lot to me, because they took their time and pledged allegiance to the American flag, not to their own flag, but to the American flag. And I can kind of understand it because they are in the United States, whatever case may be. So moving past that, I just watch the dialogue. I watch what goes on. I watch how people act. I watch how they interact. So you have mixed couples in here. When I say mixed couples, I mean you have a white husband, an Asian woman. Usually it's always a white husband and an Asian woman. I've never seen an Asian husband with a white wife. I haven't seen that yet. But it's always an Asian husband it's always a white husband with an Asian wife. So you have a couple of, them here. And I understand and I can see how they really tout towards that white type of lifestyle or ideology, you could say. And it's very interesting to look at. Very, very interesting to look at. When you start having self-identity issues within your own strong culture, we see this in the black culture. We see this in the African culture. Yeah, you have a beautiful African culture. However, these young African boys, they want to start sagging. They want to start getting away from their traditional tongue, their traditional language, and they want to start doing some of these things that we see in the inner city. A lot of these inner city black youths do, with the pants sagging, with the cussing out loud, just being vulgar, just being disrespectful. And don't get me wrong, that's not who my black people are. You only see that level of demographic in certain arenas and certain geographical locations. When you are in the inner city and you're subjected to some of these geographical locations and neighborhoods, you start to see that type of behavior. That does not, by no means, define the black community in whole. So when I see my African brothers who have this beautiful culture, this beautiful heritage, and they want to diminish themselves to what they think is cool or what they think is in or the now thing, and you start to do away with your cultural identity, it really starts to affect you. It really starts to affect your people. It starts to affect your culture, your kind. I see that here. So I see the mixed couples here, and the girls on stage doing this TikTok thing, swinging their hair and all this crazy stuff that, you see white kids do. They're doing these TikTok dances and stuff like that, and I'm just looking at this, and I can see where this is going. You really have to love yourself. You really have to know who you are and love who you're supposed to be, and it is what it is. I mean, so this will be my last day coming out here, providing a level of security and comfort for people who don't give a shit about you. They don't give a crap about you. They don't respect you as a human being, as a person. They do not. I'm walking around inside, and you can see folks, they looking at you on the side of the eye. Every step I make, they're looking out the side of my eye. I'm here checking doors, and I'm checking the restrooms, and I'm checking the theaters and the various different departments, rooms that they have here, different departments in this church here. And I'm always met with this: what's he doing? What's he about to do? What's he going to do to us next? You always have that feeling. And I laugh because it's funny. You're afraid of us, you're afraid of me, but you need me to protect you. You need me to carry a gun and protect you. If something breaks out here, you're going to be looking for me, the very person, the very people that you don't like, you don't want to be around, have nothing to do with. You look for us for your level of protection. So I find that very ironic. I find that very interesting. And we're not hiring you to come into our communities and provide protection, levels of protection for our people. We just need to learn how to dialogue as a people differently with each other and strengthen our bonds as a people. And my people are fine. I love my people. I even love those who get out here in these streets and they act just culturally just distasteful. And we all have them. Don't act like you don't have them. We all got Uncle Craig in our family. We all got someone in our family who's struggling with something, or struggling with a level of addiction, or struggling with an identity issue, or struggling with alcohol, or struggling with narcotics, struggling with self-identity as to who they're supposed to be, a male or a female. We all have these people in our families. And what we need to do as a people, as families, is that we still need to love our brothers and sisters who are struggling with trying to figure out who they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be. So, with that being said, this is a learning experience, because like I said, I never really was paying attention to what was going on as far as the trial of that young boy that lost his life. Yes, it was wrong. Everybody knows that was wrong. Everybody knows that if that situation was reversed and it was a black shopkeeper or a store owner that chased the Asian little boy outside, or a white boy, I'm not going to say little boy, well, he is a little boy because he's the same age as my daughter, and I still look at my daughter as if she was born yesterday. So, if that role was reversed, that brother would have went to prison. He'd have went to prison for a long, long time. And this is what we have to get away from. We have to get away from allowing folks, allowing other cultures to take advantage of us. We have to not only boycott, but stay away from these people as much as possible. Now, it's very hard because everything that is made comes out of this Asian community. All of your Nikes, all that crap that folks go out there and spend $300 and $400 on Nike and all that stuff. Listen, let me explain something to you. I have over 300 pair of Nikes. I got over 300 pair of Nikes, Jordans, and I bought 2 pair of Jordans probably about, last year. All right. My son-in-law is a professional drummer, so he had Nike endorsement. But we have to get away from allowing folks to take advantage of us, to demean us, to belittle us, berate us. Even when it comes down to Nike, we need to be boycotting Nike's ass too. For that last little commercial that they did with the Nike symbols on the back of a black man's back, like the Nike symbols was whipped into his back. Nike don't get a pass. Nike doesn't get a pass. Tommy Hilfiger, you don't get a pass. Timberland, y'all don't get a pass. Okay? What's the other? You got quite a few. Our clothes aren't made for black folks, for black people. We don't make clothes for black people. Abercrombie, whatever the heck they call it, I never went inside that little dirty, dark store. There's quite a few others. Okay? Target, I never bought shit out of Target. I never bought one thing. Target never did anything for me. And I'm going to go back to when I was a stock analyst working at Kmart Corporation, and Walmart was just hitting the shores of the United States. It was just hitting our borders, Walmart. Kmart was still thriving. They were still in business. And I sat in a meeting and actually got fired for it, actually. Sat in a meeting and I gave a presentation on why Kmart will no longer be in business, because it doesn't tout to the masses, to the change, to the demographic change of its client and customer base. Now, I speak one way on this video, but when I'm sitting in board meetings and stock meetings, stockholder meetings, things of that nature, I speak a total different language. You need to learn, you need to know how to turn it on and turn it off. Now, I could go into stock holdings, I could go into blue chips, futures, small caps. I could go into all of that. I could tell you where the stock market opens up. There's a time for all of that. But when I'm talking on this video, I just kind of like talk free, whatever the case may be. So I stood up and I gave a presentation on why Kmart Corporation was going to be out of business within 10 years' time. At that time, it was 1999. And I got terminated for it. Because what happens is that when you have these companies that isolate themselves and create content, create clothing that benefits only one sector of the population, therefore, what happens is that naturally, demographically, logistically, there's a response. And that response is, if you can't keep up with the changing environment economically, the diversification of people who are influxing this country right now, influencing this country, okay? They'll keep telling you that you're the minority, you're the minority, you're the minority. Okay, when you go into these locations, who's buying your product? It's not just black folks. It's not just Hispanic people. You have other cultures who are trying to spend their dollar with you. So when you can't have a supply and demand to meet that, then ultimately you're going to run yourself out of business. And that's ultimately what happened with Kmart. Walmart pushed them out of business. Now Walmart is taking on that very same trend of just touting products to one demographic of people. They're going the same exact route as Kmart. So I digress back. When we can't move with change, when it comes down to how we communicate with each other, when it comes down to how we spend our dollar, when it comes down to how we produce clothes, when it comes down to how we're manufacturing clothes, commercials, things of that nature, and then you start to tout to one demographic, then you're going to look back and you're going to realize that you lost yourself. You lost yourself. So I kind of got off a little bit, but we need to leave these people to themselves. We really do. We really need to come up with a viable plan that touts the black power, the black dollar, that pushes us economically to the forefront of being recognized as a sovereign people. When it comes down to politics, it comes down to voting. I don't need to vote left, I don't need to vote right. What I need to be voting is coming up with a solution where the black community creates its own political party. When the black community comes up and creates its own political party, that's when you're going to start to be able to see a higher level of response when it comes down to cops killing black folks, other communities killing black people, or disenfranchising black people. That's when you're going to start to really see. Right now, until we actually create our own political party, you're not going to see that. You're just not going to see it. It's not going to happen. Until we come together and recognize ourselves as one body of people, one tribe of people, we're not going to see that. I got to stop back home. We're not going to see that. So I wish everybody the best of luck. Listen, I learned a lesson here today. And I've been around all types of people. Like I tell you, I can work with anybody. I can work with the devil. When I was working on the railroad, I was working around some of the most racist white boys that you ever could come across. And I knew I had to get off the railroad because I'm out there in those mountains and it was just me. Like, it was just me and it was them. Not all of them were bad. And some of them, they'll come straight out and they'll tell you, oh yeah, I was raised this way. It's my culture. It's my heritage. It's this, it's that, whatever. And it was just me. So the level of dialogue and my response to how I communicated with them, I always had to have it here. Like, I always had to be aware of how I said things and why I said things and how I presented it. Because they can throw me off a train I could have went down into one of those caverns and nobody would have found me for years, you know. So, I mean, everybody likes to think that they're tough, but there's always something that can happen, you know. So we got to be very careful and got to be very mindful of where we are and how we communicate with people. So with that being said, just take it one day at a time. Stay the course. Stay the course, because nothing's going to change until we come together as a people and let other folks know that we're just as important, that we have feelings, that we have families, that we have the same political views and concerns that you folks have. All of us aren't out here dancing and twerking with our pants sagging and throwing bottles on the ground and pissing in the corners. All of us aren't doing that stupidity. You know, they have stuff that happens in their culture as well. They just hide their stuff differently. They hide their stuff differently, and they always point the finger at you, when their stuff is just as jacked up. So, all right, I'm gonna get off the box real quick, and hopefully I'll talk to everybody soon.